My crewmate discovered something about Season 17. And I don't think it's just hopium, or maybe it is, but that's really for you to decide. I know there's a lot of disappointment when it comes to the Smuggler's update. There are even people complaining that the commendations are too easy. And to be fair, you can get them done in a day or two, which is odd. But then Chaos noticed something weird about these phantoms.
You mother...
A lot of people are assuming that the increased spawn rates of phantoms was a mistake or a bug because bugs happen at the beginning of every season, but I can confidently say it's not a bug. Now hear me out. As of a few updates ago, and I can't be bothered to remember which one, phantoms no longer spawn on islands during the daytime. Until now. And there's something else about these phantoms that point to it not being a bug. They aren't all dressed like pirate phantoms that we typically find on islands at night. Some of them are dressed like the conquistadors that we find on sea forts, day or night, which could explain their daytime presence and their spawn rate. More importantly, the quest says it right here. And if that's not enough, here's Mike Chapman saying it. Then if we look at Act 2, we know a sea fort heist is coming. So get your tinfoil hat because we're going down a rabbit hole. As much as I'm giving credit to Rare that these daytime island conquistadors are intentional, they make it really difficult to talk to the NPCs and read their books.
This is why nobody is reading the damn journals.
Almost like they're trying to stop us from turning in Smuggler's loot and from piecing the story together. But when we actually took the time to read the books and talk to the NPCs, what they had to say was really interesting. If you just compare the dialogue between Starbright Ix and Wily Waylon, you can see that they don't all come to the Smugglers League with a hive mind mentality. They do have a few commonalities though. Also, this is a spider, not a crab. Some people still didn't know. Okay, so let's start with the basics. People are upset because they see this season as a reskin of the Merchant Alliance without an emissary. I hear you, I see you. But when you read the first chronicle of the Sapphire Blade, it mentions raising the Merchant Alliance flag to smuggle contraband hidden with legitimate cargo. So there's at least some thought put into why it looks like a merchant reskin at face value, and there are even plans for them to get different contraband in the future. If you were around Sea of Thieves in 2022, you might remember the introduction of mysteries, which didn't stick around for long, most likely due to the negative feedback about the clues being given and solved outside of the game on social media. So what if this is Rare's way of responding to that feedback by giving us clues within the game? And we're just dismissing them because the knee-jerk reaction with this season has been to complain about the lack of new content. Maybe I'm being naive or too optimistic, but what if the commendations were also made to be more manageable so we could all collectively try to unravel something here? Like the confusion about why Smuggler's loot is almost exclusively the only loot that can't be sold at Reaper's Hideout. This may be because according to Kadir, the smugglers are not in cahoots with Flameheart at all. The smugglers seem to be low-key against Flameheart, which may also be why we're finding obsidian ashen skulls in the caches. Kadir even says that he stands against everything the Reapers represent, so it wouldn't make sense to be able to sell to them. Starbright Ix also mentions that villains are pillaging ancient artifacts, and they should be stopped, most likely referring to the Reaper's voyage of ancient secrets. But considering Kadir said the Smugglers League has a desire to avoid conflict unless their hands are forced, it doesn't seem like they are actively seeking out a war with the Reaper's bones. And I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan out there, but this sounds really similar to the Rebellion smuggling resources and information before the war became inevitable, doesn't it? By the way, we're not alone in thinking that things in this update are odd. Waylon mentioned that she finds their current orders to be unusual, but she trusts Solomon. And she doesn't mention Lottie, so as much as she doesn't want wool pulled over her eyes, she doesn't seem to know that Lottie is actually the one pulling the strings. And she doesn't question it because so much value is placed on trust. Most of the smuggler NPCs mention rewards other than gold and trust. According to Solomon, we earn trust in exchange for clothing to show we're one of them. And sure, we're used to getting cosmetics for commendations, but I think there's more to it. Time-limited adventures and mysteries have been basically discontinued from future content, and there doesn't seem to be any indication of creating a new Tall Tale in the same format that we've seen in the past. But there are certain mechanics from all these things that I predict may come into play. For example, most of the tattoos we have in the game are F-flex, like completing all of the Umbra commendations, but the Smuggler's tattoo is hardly noticeable. The most notable thing about it is that the description says it's a mark to let other smugglers know that you belong to the League. Then after completing the entire first act of commendations, you receive the Super Smuggler title. All of that sounds pretty standard, right? But something in Starbright's journal stuck out to me about looking like you belong, and only then will Lottie open up with other things to do. The book at Smuggler's Bay also says Lottie only lets smugglers that have earned trust meet the client. So who is the client? I'm starting to think that this season is basically a tall tale, or maybe this is how they're progressing the story in a way that can be revisited instead of using time-limited adventures. And I really don't think I'm wrong on this, because even while cooking up the majority of this script, Chaos showed me this clip by Rare that tells me we are onto something.
Who their client actually is, and that's something that players can unravel somewhat throughout the season, but I don't want to say too much.
No, I think it's fair not to say too much. And just, again, pulling back to the NDA lift, we're not going to put absolutely everything through the insider program process, because I think we still want a little bit of an ability to surprise our players, right?
Yes.
And we won't say any more on that.
Ultimately, I think we need to be questioning who is Lottie's client. The only clues I've seen so far are that the client clearly isn't fond of Flameheart, and that they were out near Deadshot Charlotte at Lone Cove when Lottie ran into them. Right now, it seems possible that the client could be Belle, the Siren Queen reincarnated, or the Dark Brethren, since they are kind of mentioned in Act 3. I don't think it's going to be fully revealed until Act 2 or 3, but we should at least be questioning it now, just like we should also be questioning who is Little Lord Leander's father. We know that his father is a lord, more importantly, a Sea Lord, with ties to the GMU, and they wear blue uniforms. So does this mean the GMU is finally coming to Sea of Thieves? My point in all of this is we were just dropped a lot of hints for things to come later this season and possibly beyond, so it's time for us to be curious. And I still have so many questions. Like, if we can assume there's a reason for obsidian skulls to show up in caches, why do they also contain horns and skulls of sorrow? What can we glean from these maps in the smugglers' hideouts? And will Leander's partner Elias show up at some point? Maybe he'll end up in a new smuggler's hideout in the Devil's Roar next season. There are a few mentions of the Devil's Roar, so I think it makes sense that Rare held off on creating a smuggler spot in the Devil's Roar until that comes out. Also, the book next to Waylon says that the shipwrecks are packed full of contraband and a secret or two if you can find the Chronicles, and what we learn might prove to be important. I don't know about you, but I clicked through those as fast as possible and didn't read them, so I had to go back through and find them again. So far, the most interesting bits of information I found in the Chronicles was that we may need to fly the Merchant Alliance flag and make a pit stop at the Finest Trading Post. I'm just not sure if this is story building information or if it won't be truly actionable until Act 2. And not so finally, when are we going to learn that Starbright Ix is really Starbright 9? And why does she mention 18 constellations when there are only 16 showcased in the Stars of a Thief Tall Tale, plus an additional 12 dark constellations in the Skeleton Temples, and 4 others from the limited time adventure before Brixie started asking us for a favor constantly? It doesn't add up, and my crewmate is getting obsessed with these details.
She's interested in the stars. I'm interested in her interest in the stars. Snake, boar, kraken, 18 of them. Why would they say 18? What math are they using? Like, look at, I've got the book right here. These are the constellations from the Tall Tale, right?
Yeah.
As far as I know, these are the only constellations, and you can see all of these. And so I've been trying to like do the math a little bit, but there's also the Brixie quest, right? You had to go out and you had to find a bunch of these constellations. So I can't make the math work so that I get to 18, but this is definitely on purpose. And I want to know, what are the 2 secret constellations? So she's definitely saying she's never been there before. And yet behind her back is one of the orbs. Somebody could have given it to her though. I'll say that.
And there's something else I haven't been able to get out of my head from Starbright's journal. It says to look like you belong, and only then will Lottie open up with other things to do. So, okay, we were given a jacket, pants, and a belt, along with a tattoo that shows that I'm in the league. Is it possible that Rare is hinting at something here? Maybe if we wear all the Smuggler's cosmetics from this season and talk to Lottie, it could unlock additional dialogue? What if Rare made Season 17 Act 1 commendations more manageable intentionally so we would all have the cosmetics necessary for the next part of the story? And if you think I'm crazy, I'm not crazy! Rare has done this before. Think back to the Morningstar Tall Tale, where you have to wear the entire Morningstar outfit to get new dialogue from the NPCs to advance the story. And the same thing happened in Monkey Island. Even before that, you had to wear the legacy beard when talking to Umbra in order to open up new dialogue from her. If my theory is correct, I just need the right outfit and the right tattoo, and Lottie should open up to me. Maybe she'll tell me who the client is. Maybe she'll unlock a new quest. Or maybe she'll drop new lore pushing the Sea of Thieves story in a way that the adventures used to. There's only one way to find out.
Of you and me. It's like a book elegantly bound, but in a language that you can't read just yet. You gotta spend some time, love. You gotta spend some time with me, and I know that you'll find love. I will possess your heart. You gotta spend some time, love. You gotta spend some time.
Oh my gosh, I one-balled the guy in the air that was shooting over,